My name is Nikki Rattenbury and I'm from Heart of the Southwest Trading Standards. The webinars are being kindly funded by the Future Farm Resilience Project. I've just got a couple of slides that I just wanted to go through just for a bit of housekeeping. If everybody on the webinar this evening, if you would like to contribute or share anything as we're going through with our presenters this evening, please feel free to write anything in the chat facility that is available, and you can also unmute yourselves and please feel free to contribute as and when you would like to. We have disabled the cameras just purely for so that it works a little bit better. When we have too many cameras on, we tend to find that the evening can sometimes be a bit glitchy. We also want everyone to feel that they're free to talk about anything and share anything, especially when we're talking about some of the more kind of mental health and well-being topics. So if you want to share anything, but you prefer us not to put it onto the recording this evening, then please just contact us on the email shared or on the telephone number and ask for myself or Nikki Rattenbury or Samantha Younger, and we will make sure that we have that omitted from any recording before it's shared into the public domain. So tonight's speakers, we have kindly had three lovely people volunteer for this evening, and first of tonight's speakers is Richard Sampson, and he's going to talk about the Farming Community Network and specifically vintage farmers. We've also got Davina Allbrook, who is a recovery practitioner from I think it's Step One charity, and we've also got Janet Quinn, who is also another trading standards officer, but she covers more of the scams and buy with confidence. So Richard, if you are happy to chat away, that would be lovely.
Yeah, that's good. That's fine. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Richard Sampson. So I'm first and foremost, I'm a farmer. Secondly, but very importantly as well, I work for Farm Community Network, and so I'm the RSO for Devon, which is the regional support officer. So most things in Devon go through me to do with Farm Community Network. But tonight I'm really sort of talking about the Vintage Farmers group that we've started up in Crediton, which we started in April last year. Part of the reason why we started it, and I'm saying we, which I will explain in a minute, quite often we get helpline calls into our FCN helpline, which is open from 7 in the morning to 11 o'clock every day of the week. I think the number is on the screen, yeah, down there. Quite often we get a call where we get elderly farmers or farmers perhaps that are unable to sort of perhaps, well, do what they used to do, we'll say. Contact us to say that they, are there any groups that they could possibly attend, or is there anyone that could go and they could chat with? So I was sort of thinking that, oh, it'd be nice to have groups all across perhaps the county or even the country, where when people ring in, I could point them in a certain direction that they could go and meet with like-minded people, other farmers of a similar perhaps age, so that was good. And anyway, then I had a phone call from a lady called Tamlin Frackwin, who works for a company called Involve, and Involve work within, more or less within towns, but they're community builders. So they're trying to get people together to help with the isolation, which in terms helps with mental health and various sort of things like that. And she said, how about we start up a group with farmers? And I said, well, I was actually thinking the same thing. So that's where we sort of started off. And so FCN have got funding that we can get people together and sort of different meetings, and we can fund a breakfast or different events such like that. And I said, well, we could do a breakfast and invite people, and just to really gauge if there'd be an interest for people to meet together, perhaps once a month, just for coffee or something, or depending on what they want to do. So we set about doing that. So we sort of set a date and booked in the Red Deer in Crediton, and then we and Tamlin done most of the legwork. I must admit that she's really good on that side of things. So she got up some flyers, and we went to all the local sort of farming businesses in around Crediton, like Crediton Milling, Crediton Dairies, the NFU, Moleven, and we had Moleven. It was good. Moleven had an open night, and we had a stand, so we were giving out leaflets, that was quite good, and different vets practices, and so we got the word out there, and also we included other organisations. Tamlin's got lots of contacts within sort of the Crediton area, the social prescribers from the doctors, Morrison's, the lady from Morrison's was coming, the local police, because it's surprising how often they say that they go out onto different farms and see the isolation that farmers are facing. So that is sort of how the start. So the first one we had in the Red Deer. So we provided a breakfast, and we had 40, I think it was 48 people came along to that breakfast, and it was quite sort of good. And then we sort of took people's details and asked them if they were interested in, if we started up a group coming on a regular basis once a month, and so we all started from there. A couple of stories, which is really what it's all about. There were one couple that came, and I don't know the names of everybody, and Tamlin has got all that side sort of organised, and probably not for me to give out the names anyway. But one couple that came along, they hadn't been off the farm for 6 months, and so I just thought that was really good. They came out to the breakfast and along, and then there was another chap who also came. His wife had died just over like 12 months ago, so I think it was in the November or December in 23, and also he hadn't been off his farm for 7 months, and he came to that breakfast. So the isolation that is out there within the farming community is huge, and yeah, and so that is the reason that we sort of wanted to start the group up, and possibly roll it out other places, to other areas within Devon and in the southwest. So yeah, so we meet generally now. We meet once a month, mainly for for people to come, buy their own coffee and sit down and talk. And so we're currently meeting at the garden centre in Crediton, up at Homely, up at Barnstable Cross. So we meet there for a couple of hours on the last Wednesday of each month. And I think every time we get around about 35 to 40 people turning up. So it is going great guns, and it is far out sort of out it succeeded what I had envisaged. The actual meeting, I thought if we could get 10 or 12 farmers together that would come out every month, then that would be fantastic. Yeah, so that's really good. But what we've also said is from the start that we would be sort of a little bit led by what sort of people want and where they want to go. If they want to do something different, and we have done a couple different things. We had a tour around the abattoir at Copplestone Kelly's. I think it's Kelly's abattoir, what it's called. And Andy Gray showed us around the abattoir, which I thought was going to be quite boring, but it was really interesting. And then he provided a barbecue as well for those that attended. So that was quite good. And then we had Crediton Dairies come out and do a talk, and they also funded a buffet for those that came. So we do occasionally do one or two other things, and also the sort of people that come have said, "Oh, can we have somebody just do a little bit of talk at each meeting?" So usually we get someone to do a 5 or 10 minute talk. Could be just a farmer talking about his farming life or what he's been through. And we have one chap who lives just outside of Crediton. He's a farmer. He's 94-year-old. And he comes, he gets his son to bring him. I don't think he can drive anymore, but he comes. And so he done a talk one time about his life. And I think it took a bit longer than 5 or 10 minutes, actually, but as you can imagine. But so that was really good. Yeah, so we're led by what they sort of want to do. And so we go from there. So it would be nice sort of to roll this out to other areas. We have sort of got one or two things planning. We have tried one in Barnstable, but that has not been very successful. We've not had many people turn up, only sort of 2 or 3 people, and it's sort of very difficult. So it's a case that we're sort of learning as we go along. I think Crediton was just sort of fantastic, really. I just did not expect it to take off like it did, but that doesn't mean to say that everyone's going to be the same, but that doesn't matter either. As I envisaged, if we get sort of 8 to 10 farmers talking together, then that would be fantastic. So I think if you are interested in perhaps starting a group, or we called it to start with, we called it or we had it for retired farmers. So anyway, I know farmers never really retire, or some don't. And then somebody said, well, can we change the name? So and that's where the vintage farmers was sort of born, and so that's what we've called it. Yeah, to start other groups up across the region would be really fantastic. So if anybody wants to do that, or knows anywhere that they think would be a good idea, we will help facilitate that. We can provide the funds to do a breakfast to start off with, and to sort of generate some interest. But I think what I have learned is that you need local people that have got many contacts to start the group, really. That is important. Preferably that someone that knows quite a few farmers, so that would be really good. If you feel it and that you want to start a group or want to help start a group, then we're here. And of course, it is fantastic that what it actually does, bringing those farmers together and somebody said to me only this week that if we help just one or two farmers or help somebody's mental health, that is reward in itself, and that is what sort of we're here at FCN to help farmers, and so I'm looking at the clock. I think I had 15 minutes. Is that right, Nikki?
You can talk for as long as you like, Richard. If you've got anything else if you want to stop now, that's fine. But if you've got a few more things you want to add, you carry on.
No, I think that's enough. If anybody's got sort of questions, I can carry on if they got a question wants answering. I should think that'll be okay.
There's just a couple that Sue has popped in the chat there, that she was just wondering if you may have answered it really with your vintage and retired farmers, but about what age group people are welcome, and if it's for males and females, basically, is it for everybody, all welcome?
Yeah, well, yeah, really perhaps more, yeah, for the sort of more elderly farmers, anywhere perhaps from 60 upwards, possibly, or perhaps if someone was not able to sort of, if they were sort of I know I think we've got one or two that aren't very able to walk or anything, if they're not so busy. Most farmers are too busy to come, of course. That was the idea of the retired farmers, and we've probably got as many ladies as we have men.
Oh wow.
So yeah, and there's a lot. Well, not everybody, of course, are couples, but a lot of couples, man and wife, are coming, which is really good, and that is important as well. Yeah.
Also, how do you think you got so many farmers to attend? Do you, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming it was something kind of through word of mouth, but also, yeah, do you think it was just something that was needed in the area, or?
Um, I know FCN is very strong in the centre of Devon, in mid Devon. We've got a lot of support, and a lot of support from from church people as well. So that was possibly one side of things. If I could bottle it and sell it, it would be brilliant. But yeah, it just seems fantastic, really. The number of people that are sort of interested in coming. I think we've got over 60 registered that come. Not everybody can come every month, of course, but yeah, if I could really sort of put my finger on to say exactly why, but I think Tamlin has been fantastic, and she does put a lot of work into it. But I think the first place, it just seemed to all come together. Like I said, when Moleven had an open evening, there were quite a lot of farmers came to that,
Yeah.
and we were giving out leaflets, so it got the word got around, and I think that's important. I think possibly at Barnstable, one, we haven't had many local people. I've got a couple, 2 or 3 volunteers that are trying to sort of get it up and running, and but obviously Barnstable is a bigger place than Crediton as well. So yeah, so I don't know sort of quite why it's not working at Barnstable at the moment, but I think definitely the advertising in the first place and getting it to the local firms, and Tamlin is very good at sort of getting people involved in, and like I say, the first one we had, all those different people came, and so they knew it was there. So it's like the social prescribers know. A lot of the GP practices have a social prescriber.
Yeah.
So if they get farmers come in, and that, and quite often we do get referred people from the social prescribers across Devon. If they know there's a group going on, they can then refer them to the group. So that is important as well, I think. But yeah, it's just Crediton is just sort of it really took me aback, really, by the support or the number of people who were getting out come out month by month.
It's really good to hear. And I think, like you say, when you get up into sort of 40, 50, 60 people like that registered, I mean, that is really, really good. And like you said before, if you can only help, you help one or two people when you start sort of pulling these things together. But clearly, those people are enjoying the time out of the farm and enjoying the, everybody's company. So I think it's a really, really positive thing. Somebody's just asking as well, Sue was asking about funding of the leaflets. You mentioned that Tamlin set up some leaflets for sort of advertising. Did you FCN have to do that, or
No, yeah, Tamlin done that. Tamlin, she's really, really clever. She comes from a business, although she's a farmer's daughter.
yeah,
She comes from a business background. So Tamlin done the leaflets, and then we shared obviously via internet. I think she'd done them in a PDF so that we could print them off ourselves. So that saved a lot of cost on the printing side of things.
yeah.
And
And
yeah,
yeah,
and we have got people within FCN that if I want leaflets done, that they will do them for us on
brilliant.
the same sort of thing on a PDF on the internet, like so.
And one final question as well was about it's been put, do you use a WhatsApp group to let them know when the next event is being held? I mean, I know you've now sort of got routinely every Wednesday, or the one Wednesday a month, or sort of, but how do you inform people of the next thing that's happening, that kind of thing?
Yeah, those that are on email and are happy
Yeah,
to use email, Tamlin will send out an email. If the, and of course we're dealing with farmers, and I'm a farmer myself, and I'm not the most technically advanced. So yeah, not every farmer wants to use that method. So yeah, so telephone, she will. So those that don't want to go down that line, she will ring up people, and so that's what takes quite a bit of time. Is yeah, the actual sort of just letting people know what
yeah.
we're doing, etc.
Okay. That's been brilliant, Richard. Really, really grateful for you giving up some of your time this evening. Does anybody else have any questions? I think there might be. Oh no, someone's just saying thank you for this. So yeah, really, really informative. Really great to hear that it's been a success. And I know from us, if we could support anything that when you've got some others that are being set up around Devon, we're really happy to try and help to promote those for you when we're out and about at markets and things like that. If there is leaflets that are made for them, we'll happily take them out with us.
Yeah, okay, that's great. Yeah,
Thank you, and you're welcome to stay for and listen to the rest of the presentations this evening. But equally, if you've got a busy evening and you want to, ring off, that's absolutely fine too.
yeah. No, I will stay to start with anyway. We'll see how it
Thank
goes.
you. Thanks, Richard.
Right, no problem
Okay,
at
so
all.
I think if I stop sharing my screen, next up is Dee from the Step One charity. And Dee, I think you're going to share your own screen this evening, aren't you?
Lovely. Yes, I absolutely am. Hello. Right, I think we all need a little bit of a shake now before keep shaking while I get my my PowerPoint up. Bear with me a second.
Ah,
Here we go. So, in theory, hopefully, everybody can see this now. If not, I will be in a bit of trouble. Bear with me a second. Right, there we go. Right. Okay. So can you all see this? Can you all hear me?
yeah, we can see that and hear
Great.
you.
Lovely. So my presentation is about finding equilibrium in work and also in general life, because I think it's one of those really great things that you learn. The more you learn about, the more you kind of understand about what might help you. So there'll be an introduction to the charity I work for, step 1. There'll be some little bits on what we do in one-to-one support. There will be some bits on our step 1, be well at step 1 support, which is something a little bit separate to one-to-one support. And there will be our Be Well at Work, which is new and can be introduced into any organisation. There will be a bit on that, and also how to refer in. So before I go any further, myself, I am a recovery practitioner, and that entails seeing people one-to-one. That also entails working on a daily basis to help people to identify ways in which they can actually find coping strategies to reduce mental health concerns. Now, I combine this with effective signposting. I work with 14 other recovery practitioners covering Devon, which I'm quite proud of, and I balance that by being also a Pilates teacher, a yoga teacher, a Fit Steps instructor, which is a lot of fun, which is dance, a walk leader and a run leader. So there we go. So let's introduce a charity first. The Step 1 charity, a non-profit organisation providing support to people with mental health challenges, learning disabilities and neurodiversity across Devon. We have a long and distinguished history dating back to 1937 when we were founded as St. Louis College, which you've probably heard of. Now, every year we support up to 800 people to take control of their future and fulfill their potential. Now, this next lady is Dame Georgina Buller, DBE, a visionary who believed that everyone deserved the opportunity to live a fulfilling life regardless of their circumstances. Her vision was to provide support for people with disabilities to develop skills and achieve their potential, overcoming any barriers they faced in society. Over the decades, she became a visionary who believed that everyone deserved the opportunity to live a fulfilling life regardless of their circumstances, and provided support for people with disabilities to develop skills, achieve their potential, overcome any barriers they faced in society. Today, we are slightly different, only that we provide a range of support to enable people to manage their mental health, well-being and take positive steps forward to achieving their goals. We offer support through recovery and rehabilitation at our independent hospital, supported living housing, one-to-one support in the community, self-management workshops, peer support groups and activities. A little bit more on that will be coming up. So these are the 4 key services that we have: CIPRIS, an inpatient rehabilitation recovery service, supported living housing, one-to-one community support, and the Be Well at Step 1 self-help courses, workshops and peer support groups. And I'm going to whiz through a bit of this today, and hopefully it will be of use to you. So finding equilibrium. It's become important to me because I found something called the Goldilocks theory using train brain training. It's also utilised in trauma stabilisation, coping skills. And ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce this little thermometer. On this thermometer, which Train the Brain devised, you have hyperarousal, you have the window tolerance, and you have hypoarousal. Now that window tolerance in the middle is called your area of equilibrium, the harmonious space, which when in a good place brings equanimity, an optimum level of arousal. When we're within it, we have full access to our cortex. This enables us to challenge in a balanced way, make sensible decisions and communicate effectively. Things can change though to make us nearer to the periphery of that little itty bit in the middle, that little window tolerance, and they can send us over. Blips that alter the linear nature of a life's journey can reduce distress to just tolerable levels. And on either side of here, you can see at the top with hyperarousal, you've got anxiety, and you've got a number of things that you can do to help it, from just generally having some yoga to doing some cool shower, to doing some vigorous movement, to having lavender. And at the bottom you've got hyperarousal, more connected to depression, and you've got gargling, you've got dancing and things like that. Okay, so RP, what are they and what do they do? Now, recovery practitioners, as I said, there's probably more than 14 these days. What we actually do is we provide a lot of well, we have extensive training covering popular and prescient topics, and we try to solve people's emotional dysregulation connected to mental health conditions and assist finding that equilibrium. And how we do that is kind of outlined there through the use of psychoeducational resources, through accessing peer support, through coping skills, self-teaching, acceptance and commitment. And I do this because there's a gap. There is a definite gap between primary and secondary care. I worked 9 years as a health coach and found that TalkWorks have restrictions, CMHT have the waiting list that's fast, and so now there's us as recovery practitioners, and we put ourselves out all over the country to help people find tailored, bespoke solutions to reduce dysregulation and become in that area of nice optimum arousal, that equilibrium. So it might be signposting, it might be learning psychologically informed self-help strategies, it might be just general one-to-one sessions in the home occasionally, more though out in the community, in cafes and things like that, because the more you test those boundaries, the better. And we're all trained in what's known as dialectal behavioural therapy, a type of talking therapy designed for people who feel emotions very intensely. It focuses on helping you change unhelpful ways of thinking and behaving, and also focuses on accepting who you are at the same time. There's often homework to do from our sessions, but it's not like going back to school at all. So I'm just going to whiz through a couple of tools that we would use as recovery practitioners. The first one, now this wonderful lady, this picture here is Marsha Lineham. And Marsha Lineham is a phenomenal lady who has done so much in terms of creating solutions to people's dysregulation. So we have here one of these, then called mnemonics, or some other people might know them as acronyms. And the first one is a lovely one that I've used often, and that one is called ACCEPTS. So the A stands for activity. Now, not all of us are completely able to kind of do things in terms of getting around and being active. So the actual A in this case is connected to activities for the mind as well as for the body. So activities that engage you require thought and concentration. This lady went through huge trauma, and she used these mnemonics or acronyms to find ways of alleviating trauma in her life. So the accepts, each letter stands for something. So the A stands for activities. So that's activities that require thought and concentration. It could be doing exercise, or it could be doing something engaging like Duolingo or painting or colouring or something like that. The C stands for contributing. That could be volunteering. That could be, you know, sharing some old clothes that you no longer need. It could be sharing your skills. There are time banks where your skills can be exchanged with other people, so you can do some gardening for somebody else and things like that. They do still exist. Comparisons is the next C. So if you go and start a gym session, how many of you give it up already by February? Well, a lot of that is to do with unhelpful comparisons. A lot of people in gyms already have been going years. They're still in the same classes as you. If you rock up on your first session and you start comparing yourself to everybody else in the class, that is just going to be self-defeating. So it's really important to know that physiologically we change in 10 years with very different people, and to actually compare yourself along your own journey, your own personal journey, and not anybody else's. The E in accept stands for emotions, doing something that creates a competing emotion. The P, pushing away negative thoughts, throwing them away. And actually, in terms of thoughts, counting to 10, reciting a poem instead of the usual thoughts you might have. And the S is for sensations. So it might be using a safe physical sensation to distract you, such as ice, for example. The next acronym is Dear-Man. Now this one is to do with interpersonal effectiveness. You can just Google search these, they'll come up anywhere. But as I say, these are tools that we use with dialectal behavioural therapy. So Dear Man starts for describing the situation that bothers you, expressing how you feel and what you want, asserting your wishes, reinforcing what will that person get in exchange, mindfully focusing on your wants, appearing confident, and negotiation. See if a compromise is needed. And that final one is fast. Be fair, don't apologize, stick to your values, and be truthful. So another tool we might use as recovery practitioners is diaphragmatic breathing exercises. We breathe 22,000 times in a day. Anxiety causes rapid inhalation and exhalation. The same applies in exercise, but we get rid of any excess carbon dioxide. With anxiety, a difference can be experienced because the waste byproduct on breath and eventual homeostasis is different. Now, our lungs stretch the surface area of a tennis court laid out end to end. They were stretched from London to Moscow. And the trees of life, alveoli, which look like broccoli, increase the pressure from a well-explained breathing technique that we're going to do right now. So I thought I'd introduce a little bit of diaphragmatic breathing in the session. So I hope you are all sitting very comfortably and that you can hear the music. Here we go. Okay, so this technique is actually taken from our Hope courses, and we'll mention Hope in a little while. So what I'd like you to do is place one hand on your abdomen and the other hand on your chest. Breathe in gently through your nose at an even rate. Allow your abdomen to expand rather than your upper chest. You should feel on the abdomen being pushed away from the body as your abdomen rises. The other hand should remain still. Breathing out should take twice as long as breathing in. Neuroscience says that when we exhale more than we inhale, we create more calmness and equilibrium in ourselves. As you breathe in, I'd like you to count. Count to 2 as you breathe in, and try to count to 4 when you breathe out, but don't force it. So breathing in silently for 2, 1, 2, and then breathing out slowly and evenly out through your mouth, counting 1, 2, 3, 4. And notice and enjoy the feeling of relaxation. Okay, so that's a very quick introduction to a technique that you could possibly experience with a recovery practitioner. As I say, they cover Devon, and these are in the one-to-one sessions. So reducing the breathing means we're taking more air to the lungs, we have increased oxygen saturation, increased red blood cell count, and greater resilience to the muscles. In mental health conditions, good breathing technique can go out the window, so mouth breathing can occur. So what we like to do is retrain the breathing. When we nasal breathe, 50% more resistance to the airflow happens than mouth breathing. So this next technique is deep muscle relaxation. So when we have fear and anxiety, we can get muscle tension. In effect, we have unexplained muscle aches and pains. This is another technique you would get potentially through a one-to-one session with a recovery practitioner. So what we would do is focus on your breathing. Again, noticing the breathing, but then we would ask you to take your awareness to your body. And we'd ask you to start with possibly the shoulders, drawing the shoulders up towards the ears, feeling the tension in the shoulders, breathing into the tension and releasing the tension. In the same area, you might screw up your face, feel the tension in your facial muscles, breathe into this tension and relax this tension. And we go from the head down towards the feet. Similarly with breathing, you can do breathing, inhaling from the feet to the head. So those are just 2 quick ways of reducing some anxiety and fear in ourselves. So that's the one-to-one element of Step 1 Charity. This, however, is our I can't credit this enough. This is our course structure for Be Well at Step 1. If you can't get to a course, anxiety is keeping you homebound, you can access remotely our online courses through this platform. And in addition to personal courses and family courses, we have a new inclusion with work-orientated examples that will come up later on. So I'm just going to skim through some examples of the Be Well at Step 1 platform. So the first one, understanding OCD workshops. So obsessions and compulsion, that's the actual date of the next workshop, 13th of March. You can go to the platform, Be Well at Step 1, get yourself booked on. Obsessions are thoughts, pictures, impulses that are unpleasant to the mind. Triggers can lead to being in a frightened state. Compulsion is the behaviour to put right a thought, and they can be irrational. Obsessional, the thought of contamination, the effects of washing the hands and cleaning. 1.2% of the population is affected by OCD. Antidepressants can sometimes help, and what we will do is look at challenging negative thoughts, mindfulness, fostering good thoughts, getting the family support, and addressing the cycle. So that's one of our online workshops. The next one, which would be managing your anger. So do you have problems with agitation, irritability, restlessness, poor thinking, lack of concentration, thinking the worst? And then you find the ways to, you can't find any ways to address it other than striking out. So to reduce the physical aspects of anger, we would look at things like using music, using relaxation techniques, accepting thoughts, avoiding the triggers, doing something else, distracting yourself, writing it down, accepting the thoughts, distancing yourself from the annoyance, calming statements, going for a quick walk, that kind of thing. This is another session that will be going ahead starting Wednesday the 5th of February. And the last one, very significant. Do you have recent past sudden loss, or are you relatives or a friend of someone who's lost someone? Knowledge on the practicalities of seeking a death certificate after a bereavement, understanding grief, how you're affected by it, guilt, the feeling of seeing a person. Now, your doctors can prescribe tranquilizers, but this kind of a course can help you plan around anniversaries, seek advice on finance, know what helplines are out there, and that kind of a thing. Great course. Now, in-person courses on the Be Well at Step 1 platform. This is just one example. So remember I referred earlier to Marsha Lynham, a survivor of huge amounts of trauma. She used that mnemonic accepts, and the A referred to activity. Well, walking, it does something for the mind which reduces emotional dysregulation. They're Rambler-led walks, all of them. They only unfortunately are in Torbay and Exeter, but that's quite a broad scope. They're led by first aid trained professionals trained in multiple mental health techniques. They're focused on producing a safe walk, so we're aware of weather conditions, risks assessed, ways to alleviate obstacles, and the benefits of walking: reduction of osteoporosis, build up of bone density, osteoblasts, reducing your chance of osteopenia, the opioid effect, along with the endorphins, the naturally occurring feel-good chemicals, free. Your telomeres don't attrition, thus protecting your chromosomes that house your DNA, thus preserving life. Your heart expands, you fatigue less easily, you have greater range of movement, you have motor fitness gains like coordination, agility, reaction, balance, etc. The next one we have, both in Exeter and Torbay, would be our free Wellbeing yoga. So I've produced this personally for nearly 2 years at the X Centre and Shekinah Grow, and it bypasses mainstream medicine. It is a way to manage lifestyles through the provision of techniques that reduce tension and stress. Each session comprises meditation, breathing techniques, yoga postures with adaptations. We can accommodate people in chairs, and a talk-on technique to reduce emotional dysregulation. Psycho-educational resources are provided at each session. We nasal breathe in each session to create 50% more resistance to airflow than mouth breathing, which means you get a 10 to 20% greater oxygen uptake in the blood. You can expect improved blood circulation, balancing the nervous system, and you'll get a wellbeing journal and a 6-week introductory book free. It's just a commitment of an hour per week, and I personally am an experienced fitness instructor, qualified in level 3 yoga, level 3 Pilates, have a degree in exercise science fitness. I'm a fully qualified first aider. These are risk assessed venues with public liability insurance, small groups, and the X Centre is aligned to Devon Wildlife Trust Cricket Pit Mill Garden, and the one at Shekinah Grow is opposite the second entrance of Ockham Farm, so you can go there for coffee afterwards. And you'll open your airways, balance your nervous system, and it's free. The walks are free. This is free. The courses are free. Finally, Hope. Hope, it's an NHS free accredited course, 6 weeks. We do them in Newton Abbot and Exeter. It's a free course that supports you to manage your health and well-being. It's an in-person course. You have 2 facilitators. It is slightly larger in terms of commitment, 2.5 hours per week. But if you can read that little letter at the bottom, that's a genuine letter from a participant, not in the long distance, only recently. So it really is about peer support, and they're writing those letters for the next people who come along. And we cover various parts of Devon. It's NHS accredited to a very high standard. Our new take is Be Well at Work. So strategies for workplace resilience. You can have us come to your workplace and provide to you comprehensive training that dives deep into strategies for managing workplace well-being, including fostering resilience, reducing stress, building psychologically safe environments, leveraging the polyvagal theory, and you'll gain insights into the body's responses to stress, practical methods for promoting self-regulation, co-regulation, and increasing workplace culture and productivity. We can do that for you. Fostering neurodiversity in the workplace. This course provides the knowledge and skills needed to cultivate inclusive environments for neurodivergent employees. Participants will explore various neurodiverse conditions, learn about effective accommodations, and discover strategies for fostering supportive workplace cultures. So these are courses that are coming for your workplaces. So do explore these with us if you feel that there might be some relevance. And things like as well, the Be Well at Step at Workplace Mental Health Champion Programme. It's a specialised course designed for employees selected as mental health champions, and through this programme you'll become pivotal advocates for mental health within the workplace. You'll be equipped with essential skills and knowledge to support your colleagues and spearhead initiatives that incorporate polyvagal theory, help champion in understanding and address stress responses, promoting a sense of psychological safety, and contribute to a supportive organisational culture. So these are our new offerings for your businesses, for your organisations to consider. So finally, how do you refer in? So with the one-to-ones that were mentioned earlier, that's with recovery practitioners. We do work with people with all kinds of severe mental illness. So that's your bipolar, your psychosis, your complex emotional needs, your eating disorders. Referrals would go via, we don't accept self-referrals or referrals from non-statutory services. You'd have to have people like your doctor refer you in for that particular process. But just that, okay? The Be Well side of things, so those are the courses like the OCD course, the anger management course. You just simply have to go to https://www.bewell.training to get more information on our courses on the platform. It's the Be Well. If you just also put in Be Well, so BEWELL, Aquilasan, the A with a funny squiggle around it, and then you also put in Be Well at step 1, so step 1 after the Aquilasan, and just put courses, Exeter courses. We would come up with all of our courses in terms of what those things that I've mentioned already, the yoga, the wellbeing yoga, the walks, the anger management, the OCD, and all of that. Now, alternatively, if you want to employ us for your business, now these are brand new. That's an insight into something completely new, with the elements of polyvagal theory, with the elements of being mental health champions in your organization, or encouraging more mental health champions in your organization, and much, much more. Then, as it is so new, you would contact our organization direct. So it would be strategies for workplace resilience, it would be fostering neurodiversity in the workplace, workplace mental health champions, and much, much more. And you could just give us a ring on 01392 255 428. That's 01392 255 428 during Monday to Friday, 9 till 5 p.m. and we would not hesitate to get back to you. So just a very quick introduction to what step one does. I hope that has been useful to everyone. Whizzed through it, but I do hope that has been of help. I'll just check the chat for any questions now. So
I think there was one in there, yeah.
And yeah, so the Be Well at Step One courses, they are all free, which is good news. And I'll put the website for Be Well at Step One in the chats, so that you can see that. The courses for your business, things like fostering neurodiversity in the workplace, they're so new that unfortunately I can't actually answer that, but it is commercially orientated. So I do imagine there will be a cost entailed with that. So the free ones, if you go to your chat at the top of the screen, there's a hyperlink, and you can just click on the hyperlink and it will take you to that. Or alternatively, old-fashioned way, if you haven't got access to technology, I'll put in the phone number, and you can always give us a ring about the Exeter courses and the Torbay courses and the Newton Abbot courses, if any of those are relevant to you. Okay. And then from a business perspective, I'll add this Be Well at the Step One charity website. And then if anybody's listening to any of this and think, yeah, my farm, my organization could really do with some of that, then you also have the number for our organization to give us a call in terms of finding out more about those they're really exciting courses that are coming up very, very soon. So be the first to so-called break the ice and have something that's really going to stabilize your organization in such a lovely, lovely, wholesome way. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Again, does anybody else have any other questions? Well, in the chat, I've now put the Step One website for the business courses. I've put the platform Be Well at Step One, and tonight I've mentioned, as I say, Marsha Lynham. She's got these acronyms that help you with kind of getting from A to B. I introduced some retraining breathing, a psychoeducational resource. I introduced some deep relaxation, whizzed through it, but those are the kind of things that you can do one-to-one with what's known as recovery practitioners if you didn't want to be in a group and you wanted one-to-one support initially, but you'd have to go through your doctor to see a recovery practitioner. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to Nikki. Thank you to everybody who's allowed me to talk tonight. Thank you.
Oh, Dee, that's fantastic. Thanks ever so much for giving your time up. I just wanted to add that we have
My pleasure.
we did do one of the Hope courses, didn't you, for us at East Devon Areas of Natural Beauty, and I think it was the response for the course was amazing, wasn't it? Actually, I think people were quite surprised at how much they got out of it.
We were very innovative. We had our own flip chart in the middle of the farm, so kind of in the middle of the venue, and yeah, it went very well. Lots of people came in, and we kind of did a cycle of taster hopes, and the idea is that people in the farming community can become their own hope facilitators. So if anybody's interested in doing that, taking their own courses for a subsection of the community, we can also put you in touch about becoming a facilitator for yourself, or we could do a taster, anything like that. Thank you.
Oh, lovely. Thanks, Dee. And if nobody else has any questions, we will move on to Janet, our last speaker this evening, who is kindly giving up her evening. Janet, I'm going to try and share the screen with your slides on. So hopefully I do this successfully.
Okay, thanks, Nikki.
That's all right. And then she'll just put it onto slideshow. And when you're ready, slideshow from beginning. There we go.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me. Shout if not. So my name's Janet Quinn. I'm the lead scams officer for Heart of the Southwest Trading Standards Service. So I work alongside Nikki and Sam, but in a different role, because we do a lot of different things in trading standards. So I'm going to talk about something slightly different today. But scams is something that affects everybody. Gone are the days when people would think it was your little vulnerable old lady who sat at home on her own affected by scams. They're so good now that everyone can be affected by scams, young people, any age at all. So please don't think this doesn't apply to you. And my best advice is to always be cynical and be on your guard, because scams are ever changing. Whenever anything new happens, politically, so change of government, in the world, so when we had COVID, all those things are a scammer's dream, and they'll piggyback off of that and find a way to try and scam you out of money, which nobody wants. So if you could move the slide on, please, Nikki. I'm going to start by covering the recent scams that you may or may not have heard of. So if you have, it will just be a refresher to you. But if not, these are some of the things that we've come across recently. Investment scams are a big one, especially in the times we're in. Cost of living, everything's costing more money. People are looking at ways to make money. If you want to invest any money that you have, always do your research. So go to somebody who's verified, who's recommended, somebody who's registered with the Financial Conduct Authority. Never go with anybody who approaches you out of the blue, anybody you see on Facebook. Scammers use celebrities like Martin Lewis, the money saving expert, Richard Branson, Alan Sugar, and they'll use their faces and say, oh, you know, I've made so much money investing in this or that, or often Bitcoin. And they're not allowed to use those celebrities' names. It's nothing to do with them, but people think that they're endorsed by that celebrity and everybody knows who they are. And that's how they kind of get you to sign up for that sort of thing. Once you're in, they'll just coerce you into investing more and more. A lot of people, you know, will invest something small to begin with, £100. It doesn't matter if I lose it. But before long, people take out loans, they lose their pensions. I've seen people lose their life savings through this. I always say to people, unless that money's in your bank account or in your hand, I could knock up a spreadsheet and say, you know, your Bitcoin is now worth 5 million. You know, it means nothing, and that's what they do. But the minute you want to get your money out, you can't. They stop talking to you, they disappear, or you need to pay another £5,000 to release it, or in tax, or just it's all a scam. So that's a really big one. The WhatsApp Hey Mum scam is a scam on your phone. If you have WhatsApp, somebody will randomly message you out of the blue, pretending to be, it's usually your son or daughter, saying, hi mum, hi dad, you know, my phone, I've lost my phone, or my phone's broken, this is my new number, can you program it in? And then it's very quickly followed by a request for money. You know, I need this money quickly, but I can't talk for whatever reason. And again, people have lost money that way. So beware of that one. Ticket scams are usually found on Facebook. Last year, there was a lot of popular music concerts. So there was tickets for Oasis, Taylor Swift, a lot of sporting events. People are often selling them on Facebook. Only ever buy them from verified sellers like Ticketmaster, that sort of thing. Never pay up front for anything that you buy. If you buy a ticket from somebody from Facebook, never ever buy it up front, because that's what happens. You pay for the ticket and then you know that's the end of it. You don't hear from these people. Delivery scams can be where we're all getting more and more deliveries at home. So you might order something online or in the post. You'll get a little ticket. So you know those tickets that you get that say, sorry, we missed you. You need to rearrange your delivery or something like that. Now, those are genuine, or you might need to pick it up from the Royal Mail Centre. But these ones say things like, there was insufficient postage and you need to go online or follow this link or phone this number and you need to pay 90p. It'll always be a really small amount. So you kind of think, okay, well, it's 90p. If it is a scam, I've lost 90p. But oh no, these people are really clever. And what happens is once you click on that link and put in your card details for the 90p, or you give your details over the phone, all your personal information is then out there and can be compromised because you've essentially given your details to fraudsters. And what people then see is that the next day their bank accounts are emptied. So beware of that one. Romance scams is a particularly emotive scam, especially this time of year. It's January, new year, new start. People might be looking for love. Just be really careful. There's a lot of this in the media, often on daytime TV programs or morning news, Good Morning Britain, ones like that. People are understandably reluctant to share their stories, but there are some brave people out there who have done this, and essentially it's usually when somebody contacts you out of the blue. So if you have Facebook, always keep your security settings at the highest level, so only your friends can see what you're posting on there, because you'd be surprised how many people have their settings open. Then everyone in the whole world can see what you're posting. You might get a comment on, oh, your dog's really cute, or just something like that. All they want is an in, and then they start talking to you. Essentially they're grooming you. Before long, you feel like you're in a romantic relationship with them. You can't speak to them. It's all done by message, because they say that they're, you know, on an oil rig or on a different time zone. They're often American soldiers, usually in another country, and they really take their time. I know people that have been chatting for 6 months before someone will ask for money, and they do it in a very clever way. So they'll, because you think you're attached to them by now, because they're contacting you every day, and quite often it's not the same person. Obviously you think it is, but it's just passed around, and these people work in big call centers, and they'll just say they have a vet's bill or a tax bill or a health bill, and then people feel, because they're nice people, feel obliged to offer, and it might be £1,000 or £2,000, and they may even get that money back, but then in time it will be more and it will be more, and often they promise you a new life, that they'll come to the UK, so you might pay for plane tickets, you know, all things like that. So just, if you are going to meet somebody, just be really wary, and always meet somebody in person, before you potentially get reeled in and get your heart broken and lose a lot of money. Bank impersonation scams are scams, or it doesn't have to be a bank. It could be BT, it could be Sky phoning you up saying, you know, your broadband is going to be cut off if you don't pay the bill. You need to act immediately. You need to pay this money over the phone. It's always somebody ringing out of the blue. I'm gonna go on to some things to look out for in my next slide, but it is always people phoning out of the blue, and you're always put on the spot. So you always need to take a step back and think, hang on, is this true? Let me have a minute. You can hang up the phone, don't worry about being rude to people, and you can then phone people back. So you know that you're calling Sky or BT or your bank. Don't ever be pushed into anything. People phone and say, oh, I'm calling from Lloyds Bank. we've noticed a strange foreign transaction on your account, made in America, and you'll be like, oh no, I haven't done that, or I haven't been to America, I need to protect my money. And they'll say, don't worry, I'll put you through to our fraud team. They put you through to another scammer. Someone different picks up the phone. Hi, it's Lloyds Bank fraud team. And then they talk you through how they can protect your account. You need to move your money to what they call a safe account, which obviously is then you never see it again. So again, anything like that, just hang up the phone and then check independently. Don't ever agree to anything or speak to these people on the phone. And there's a stigma about sometimes being rude to people, but if somebody's genuine, they're not going to worry about you questioning who they really are. And I've put delivery scams twice there, haven't I? Okay, I was getting a bit carried away there. So I've done delivery scams, so I won't do that one again. So next slide, please. So these are the common signs of a scam. So it's always out of the blue. So these are things to look out for. Someone who contacts you unexpectedly. That might be a phone call, it might be a text message, it might be an email with a link to click on. Correspondence uses a generic greeting, often with spelling errors. If you get any sort of letters through the post or emails that are badly worded or have got spelling errors, you're always asked to act urgently. It's always now, you have to act now. So that's why I said you need to take a step back and think, hang on, is this real? What is this about? I just need to take a minute. You could run it by a friend or a family member, but never be put on the spot. Oh, that threw me. You were asked to pay in an unusual way. So no worries. You're testing me, aren't you? So I've put, for example, iTunes vouchers. They're really common because they're untraceable. People go and buy them and then send them off or email people the codes. So that's untraceable, obviously, whereas if you're paying money into a bank account, that can be traced. But it's important to say that all of these scams originate from outside of the UK. So we obviously don't have jurisdiction outside of the UK. So it's so hard to find these people and to bring them to justice, really. All this money that goes to these scams is used to fund organised crime. It's gangs, it's drugs, it's prostitution. It's a really, really awful situation. So what we try and focus on is just educating people, and that's one of the reasons that I'm doing this tonight, so that I want you to spread it far and wide, tell everybody you know, because if it saves one person from being scammed, it's really worth it. It is possible to sometimes get your money back if you've been scammed, contacting your bank, but banks are they're a lot more vigilant these days. If ever you're doing a bank transfer, they always ask you a million questions like, is this genuine? Is it a scam? All of that is to protect themselves because they don't want to have to pay the money back. So it is more difficult to get your money back sometimes. So obviously what you want to do is not be scammed in the first place. But obviously you shouldn't be put off by contacting your bank. And that's, I think, on my next slide about one of the things you need to do. So the last point is somebody asking for your personal information like passwords or PIN numbers. Hopefully you'll know this. Again, it's if you're put on the spot. Nobody will ever ask for that. Though even the person at the bank, if you go in person, they never ask for your PIN number, they never ask for your password. There's an app called AnyDesk as well that I'll mention if you do things online, and somebody if you ever hit AnyDesk, just you need to be saying no, because if that app gets put on your phone or your laptop, it means somebody remotely can control all of your apps and what you're doing, and that's often something that scammers use. So steer clear of that one. Next slide, please. So what to do if you have been scammed? Obviously, if you feel threatened or unsafe, the first thing you must do is call the police. And some of these people can be really threatening. You can't contact Trading Standards directly. If you need to report a scam, what you do is you contact the Citizens Advice Consumer Helpline, which is that number there. And they will talk you through what you need to do. and give you all the help that you need. And what they then do is, because they're a national line, they then pass the information through to each relevant trading standards department. So they pass the information through to us if we need to know about it, and then we'll contact you if we need more information from you. So rest assured that they will help you, and it will be reported, it will be logged. Now this is a really interesting number if you don't know it. If you phone 159, and you can test it after this if you so wish. If you phone 159, just 3 digits on your phone, that is a direct line to your bank. Now, all the major banks are signed up to this. And the reason for this number is because, as I said earlier, a lot of people think they're talking to their bank and they're not. So if you call this number, you know you will be speaking to your bank. So you phone 159 and it basically says, hello, who do you bank with? Press 1 for Lloyds, 2 for NatWest or whatever, and then you get put straight through to them. So you can Google that, you can go online and look at 159, but it's been set up to prevent scams. So that's a really useful number, because often I never know what number to use, and I'm trying to find a bank statement, and you don't get them these days anyway because everything's online. So just remember 159. Reset online passwords regularly. The main password that you need to be resetting regularly, and I put a diary reminder, or do it the first of every month, is your password to your emails, because the emails are the keeper of everything. It's like your front door key. So if you forget a password when you're logging on something online, as I do pretty much every time, you click on the forgotten password link, and then it says, we've sent a new password, or we've sent a link to change your password to your email. So you then go in your email, you find that, and then you reset it. Now, if someone's got access to your emails, they could be changing your passwords and getting into your accounts, and that's a really scary thing. So that's why you must change your email password frequently. Talk to someone you trust. I think I've said that before, particularly in romance scams. It's very cloak and dagger, and they make you feel isolated, and they tell you not to tell anyone, about your secret relationship and things like that. So always be open and honest, and speak to somebody you could trust, or run it by a friend and say, I had this phone call, what do you think? Or I had this letter, I'm not sure about it. But just do as many checks as you can. And I'm the most cynical person there is, because of the job that I do and the amount of people that I speak to that have literally lost their future, their pensions, their life savings. So I don't want that to happen to anybody. So just be cynical and think, hang on, is this right? Could this be a scam? There's 2 things there at the bottom in red. If you get a suspicious text on your phone that you don't think it's right, you can just click forward, type in that number 7726, and it goes to a national reporting service, and it will be looked into. And the same with emails, forward to that email address there, and again, they log them and they look into them. Next slide, please. So how to stay up to date. I've given you a lot of information there. Most of what I've said, you'll find links to on our website. So our website is there. So there's so many other things on there, because we do so many more different areas of work. But if you click on our website, on our landing page, then there's a section for consumers and then scams and rogue traders. So have a look at that, and it will tell you a lot of the things that I've just said. You'll find those details of where to report the scam texts and emails to. You'll find the number for Citizens Advice, also the email address, the website for Citizens Advice. There's lots of information there. We have a monthly newsletter which you can sign up to on our homepage. So that's the website link above. And that comes to you by email. You just put in your email address, and then every month that will be sent to your inbox, and it's very scam heavy, because there's always a scam and there's always a new scam. So that's really useful. And if you do have social media, we are on Facebook and Twitter, and we are at TS Connected. That is the quickest way for us to get information out to people. So again, if there's a scam happening, then it will be posted on there. So if you do have social media, I really recommend that you follow us. And the last bit I wanted to talk about was our Buy with Confidence scheme, which is an approved trader scheme. And that was set up because we would get people speaking to us all the time saying, because we deal with a lot of not very good traders, shall we say, traders who might be doing bad workmanship that we then prosecute. People would say, well, who can we use then? Can you recommend someone? Now, we can't do that. So this scheme was set up for people that want to do well, that are legitimate businesses who are following the law. And we work in partnership with them. So we'll go along and we'll speak to them and we'll check that they're running their business correctly. Now, say they're a carpenter, obviously we're not experts in carpentry, but what we'll look at is if they're running their business legally, because some people are there 1 minute, gone the next. Those are the people you don't want to be using. Never use anybody that knocks at your door, offers to do work for you, or for that matter, offers to sell you anything. If you want to get a plumber or an electrician, you have to wait weeks because they're always really, really busy. So someone that knocks on your door and offers to do your garden or fix your roof slate or something like that, they're not going to be legitimate. They're going to be just in your area for 1 day, and they're going to insist on being paid cash, and they'll do a terrible job, and you'll get ripped off. So beware of those people. And if you do want any work doing, so any sorts of trades like that, gardening, roofing, plumbing, electrician, builders, anything like that, you can go to that website. You can put in your postcode and the job or the trade that you're looking for, and a list of people will come up. If you're not online, there's a phone number that you can phone, and somebody will tell you the people in your area. And also we have booklets with businesses in which you can get hold of, and we do have scan booklets as well, which are really useful and interesting. So just have a word with Nikki and she can get either of those things out to you. So I think I mean, I could talk about scams all night, but I think I'll leave it there. But I've signposted you, so do have a look at those things. Definitely our website, and do pass on the information that I've told you tonight to anybody, friends, neighbours, because just scams are rife and they're just getting more and more complicated and sophisticated. So we need to be continually shouting about it and letting people know what to look out for. So thanks for listening. Has anybody got any questions, or is there any questions in the chat that I need to know about?
There was just a couple of comments in the chat. Janet, thanks ever so much for your time this evening. I know that was a very whistle-stop tour of all the things that to look out for, but I just think, like you said before at the beginning, if you can just help one person to avoid,
Exactly,
you know, being caught by these people, it's a win, isn't it? And the 159 thing I was totally unaware of, so I have noted that. Yeah, I didn't know about that at all. So
great. So you've learned something.
Yeah,
too.
I've learned something. So that's really, really helpful. So yeah, there was just a couple of comments. One's from Sue saying Amazon is doing its rounds. So I'm presuming,
scams,
and also Halifax ask, when you pay, if you do a fraud refund, they will take £100 excess.
Okay. Who wrote that comment? Do you want to tell me a bit more about that? Because I don't know about that. And while you do that, I'm going to put the link for 159 in the chat.
Have you unmuted yourself, Sue? Are you okay to talk? Is that all right?
Yeah, no
there
problem.
we are.
So basically,
do you want to tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so when I do my online banking, so I'm going to pay Joe Blogs. It will come up and it will say, are your details correct for this payee? If you do a fraud refund or ask for a refund, they will take £100 excess. And I thought that's being very naughty.
Okay. I've not heard of that. I know that they all do say, who are you paying? Check this isn't a fraud. Check this isn't a scam. but I've not heard of them saying that they'll take money.
Yeah,
And I don't bank with Halifax, so
it's written, it's there. So as you do the payment,
yeah,
it's warning you that if you haven't checked and you ask for a refund, they will take a £100 access. And that's been going on, I think it was November time I started to see it, and it's done every time. And I don't know how the hell they can get away with it, because £100 access and it might be only £50. That seems wrong to me.
Yeah. I'm just doing a quick Google search because I haven't heard of that. And I can't, it doesn't sound very fair to me either.
No.
I mean, obviously, if you've lost, you know, thousands and thousands of pounds, you know, I'm sure you'd be really happy to get your £5,000 back minus £100. But as you say, if it's a smaller amount of money, so just bear with me a second because I'm just reading about it. So there was a new law that came in from October 24. So this makes sense because you said you saw it from about November.
Yeah.
So this law was brought in, and obviously this is nothing to do with Halifax. This was from the government, and that law was brought in to protect consumers, and essentially, they're saying that you're protected up to a maximum of £85,000, and it gives them a set amount of time to refund that money, because I think what people were finding was it just dragged on and on. So they have to now do it within a strict amount of time. So it basically, you're right. It does say we'll take £100 excess from the total refund. This is a fixed amount for each claim you make. Now, obviously, I don't work for a bank or the Financial Conduct Authority, but Halifax are a huge high street bank. So this must be legal, because they wouldn't be getting away with it or putting. I agree, it's not moral, but it is legal, because otherwise it wouldn't be on there, and they're very highly regulated, and then obviously they're not some backstreet bank. Now, I don't agree with it, and I didn't know about that, and I've not heard about it from any other bank. So I can only suggest that if you don't like how they're treating you as a customer, you vote with your feet and move banks. You can get money from if you join another bank. They're always after your custom. But yeah, that's all I can say on that. It's legal, but I don't think it's overly moral.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else got anything else?
I think you're good, Janet. I think you're free to go. So I really appreciate your time, like I said before, and for hanging around and listening to everybody. That was really kind of you. And like I say, we always we're obviously in contact all the time, even though we work for the same agency, just doing a different part of the job. So if at any point anyone has anything that comes up that they want to ask you, then I can always email you separately and
absolutely, sure.
Just ask your advice if that's okay.
Yeah, so and if anyone wants any buy with confidence or any scams booklets, I'm sure you can facilitate that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm more than happy to do that. I can post them out or whatever. So thank you ever so much, Janet. I really appreciate it. Amazing. So I think we had Sushaila was just going to fill us in on a couple of other things. Are you there?
Yeah.
Hi. Oh, lovely. Did you want to share your screen?
Yes. Yeah, is that looking right? Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that.
Great. So I just put a slide together because I had a couple of requests from farmers to look at universal credit for farmers. when we were thinking about different topics for rural support. So I contacted the Citizens Advice, and they got back to me with a few suggestions. Unfortunately, they weren't able to come and speak because they don't have the capacity. So I've just put together a slide. It does have a lot of QR codes, but I was really thinking if you're looking from our YouTube channel, then you can just use your phone and scan over the QR code and it will take you straight to the website. So I'll just go over it briefly. So the first thing is to contact your local Citizens Advice Centre if you're thinking that you might be eligible for some benefits to support your income, and you can take a look at their online advice. So we've got this QR code here for that. They said farmers who are self-employed can also claim universal credit, and it's quite a complicated, it can seem quite a complicated thing if you're a farmer, because your income might not be the same throughout the year and you have big outgoings, but there are like the Citizens Advice bureaus will be able to give you advice on that. And also Rabi, they also are good at giving advice for universal credit and the different sort of entitlements that you might have. So these are all just QR codes, just with links to websites that were suggested by the Citizens Advice people, which you can read what they say. It's like what counts as income, and you can calculate your income. So there's quite a lot of information on each of those pages. So it's probably a good idea to have a look at those first, but then, as I say, contact your Citizens Advice Centre for help with that. And the other thing I wanted to let you know about is that although we're coming to the end of these workshops, the Rural Support and Wellbeing workshops, for the particular fund we're in, but Nikki is hoping that there will be more available to do some more in the future. But we've got these last two coming up within the next month. So next Thursday, we've got another webinar, and you can see here we're looking at farming in the times of drought and flooding, with somebody from the Nature Friendly Farming Network, Holly Purdy. Then we've got somebody from the Heart of Southwest Trading Standards who's going to look at livestock movement, recording and identification. And then finally, we will welcome back Richard Sampson again, who's going to be talking about FCN, and perhaps we'll look at vintage farmers and other projects that they are doing. So we'll see you again there, Richard, which will be lovely. And then we've got an in-person event for anybody who's going to Sedgemoor, so Somerset, but I think people come from all over to Sedgemoor because it's such a huge livestock market. So that is going to be on Valentine's Day, and it's an informal, there's a big breakfast which is provided. It's all free, and there's going to be various support services there, including somebody from Rabi, who I just mentioned before, and some the police, the rural crimes, and fire services, and we're just sort of getting together all of the people who are going to be attending that one. But again, the links are there on the QR code, so you can just have a look, and as we get more people who you might want to come and meet, we're going to I will be adding the information onto the Eventbrite, and you can just register for your place and come along and have a big breakfast, have a chat with other farmers, and find out about support services available to you.
That's great. We're going to be running that in conjunction with Emily Martin, the county advisor for Somerset for the NFU as well, won't we? Yeah, she's running it alongside us, which worked really, really well when we held one in Devon up at Holsworthy Market last month. So yeah, it will be good to see as many people from Somerset as we can that could join. And like you said, because it's of where it's located, hopefully we can pull people in from all areas, really.
Yeah, exactly.
thank you for giving us the update on everything. And there is a comment in the chat just to say that there is a Facebook page called Universal Credit for Farming Families. And if you read them, there are a lot giving up due to the reporting method.
Yeah, no, Sue, yeah, I had a look at the Facebook group, and I could see that it was certainly something that's causing a lot of people a lot of stress, which is why I was trying to get somebody who knew about it to be able to give some information. But it seems from my research that contacting Citizens Advice is the best way to go.
That's great, thank you. And I don't know if anyone has any other questions or any other comments about any of our speakers this evening, or anything that we've talked about. If you want to, then please share it with us now. No, I think we're all quiet. So normally we go on to talk about the up and coming things also with Future Farm Resilience in other support, but that's obviously coming to an end now. So like Sushala said, we've just got those few events left, and we're really hoping as Trading Standards that we can keep the rural support and wellbeing work that we've been doing alive. But like with anything, we just have to await for funding to come through and see what's going to be available for us, for the up and coming year, really. But just thank you all very much for attending, and I hope you get something out of this evening. Like I said before, this will be recorded, and so anybody that registered this evening but hasn't made it, we then send the recording out to them, and we also share it on our social media, and we put it onto our website at Trading Standards, so that other people can log in and listen to the speakers at their own time. So, and just thank you ever so much to our speakers this evening, and to everyone that has been supporting the webinars over the last year or so. They have been really informative, and they're all available on the website if you want to re-listen to any that you might be interested in. So thank you very much. If nobody else has anything to say, we can say good evening.